Mellow beat.
Yo, we back, man. Mic check, 1, 2. What's up, everybody? We live week 17. What's going on with everybody tonight? Alright, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Go ahead, please press that subscribe. Please like the video. We streaming for week 17. Sorry I couldn't give you picks for last week. I've been totally slammed with Christmas and my daughter's birthday plans, all that, you know. So finally back in the mix, getting these plays for week 17. How's everybody doing? How's everybody do last week? Let me know. What was your favorite plays? What, you know, I know a lot of people are targeting the Kansas City Chiefs, in which, yeah, I don't think it really went well. Other than if you had Kelsey, he was one of those guys you had to put in your lines like every week. You just got to throw him in your lines. But we're going to get back into these plays, y'all. So let me get myself straight. As you can see, I got draft dashboard tools on the right of me. It's only $1 up to 30 days. It also includes my player pool for each sport that we have available. So we have NBA. So yeah, man. So let's get right into it, y'all. How's everybody doing tonight? Let me know. So I can shout you out on the chat. Cause I like to talk to everybody, and even those, even if it's a little bit of people on here, it's all good with me because this is the time that I like to spend my time to look into these plays. We got 15 games for the main slate, y'all. 15 games, y'all. So we gotta look into these. As you can see below me, I got my favorite plays per position. We got the cash and GPP type of plays for each spot. We got my favorite stacks I'm looking at for cash and GPPs. And then we got to look into the injuries because that's going to be definitely viable for week 17. So let's get right into it, man. What's up, Code? He got ripped. Yeah, man. I think I try to put a line last minute, man. I think a lot of people went with like Kansas City, and I even went with Hurst stack with Sanders, and yeah, I can't be playing like that, man. I have to dig in deep with these plays like I do all the time. That's the only way I'll be able to try to dissect it pretty good. But yeah, I didn't have the time to really do what I should do when it comes down to football, because man, it's a different beast when it comes down to dissecting these plays. And on top of that, with NBA in the mix, it's hard to do both at the same time, because NBA, we already know NBA with the injury news, the usage, all that plays a part when it comes to DFS. So let's get right into it, man. I'm not gonna hold y'all for today. I will be going pretty fast with these plays. I'm trying to knock this out in 2 hours, hopefully less than 2 hours, but I don't have my daughter. She's upstairs, so let's try to knock this out because she likes the camera, man. So, and on top of that, I want to make sure she's straight while I'm in the playroom. So as you can see, I'm in my playroom, but it's all good. But let's get right into it, y'all. Let's look into each spot. We're going to go to the quarterback's position. All right. All right, let's get into this plays. Make sure I'm looking at the chat room just in case everyone's saying anything. I don't want to miss y'all questions or anything in the chat. So I want to get to everybody. But man, 15 games for the main slate, y'all. I will be playing light. I definitely will be playing light. I might have just 3 lineups and call it a day. I'm not going to waste my time and money. 15 games. There's so many different variations you could go in this type of slate. All right, but let's try to dissect it as much as possible. Quarterbacks. Let's look into the last 4 games so far for the season. All right, now let's go to a nice play for Kirk Cousins. All right, now I like Kirk Cousins here. I think Kirk Cousins is definitely in play, especially his price tag only $6,300 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, let's see what they got for FanDuel. FanDuel, they priced him around 77, which is not bad for a guy that's in a great play, especially against Detroit. It's a game to where you could definitely get a good play in. Let's look into his stats. All right, now Kirk Cousins, looking at him for the season, he's averaging around 20.1 fantasy points for the season. Now in the last 4 games, he's actually averaging around 22.1. But playing away, this is one thing it's real tough with him playing away. But he did play well against the Saints, so I give him that. It's more of a dome play, so he's playing better in the domes like he played against the Saints. He's playing Detroit in the dome, so definitely a plus for him. He had 24 fantasy points last week against the Saints, where he had 3 touchdowns, 291 yards that game. And now going against Detroit, where Detroit allows 33.5 fantasy points at home. In the last 4 games, they averaging 330 passing yards to opposing quarterbacks, y'all. So this is a smashing spot to consider for a guy that's cheap on Draftkings. Get him for $6,500 on Draftkings. Looking at the past quarterbacks, he had Tom Brady light him up last week with 32 fantasy points last week. He had 4 touchdowns, as we all saw. He had that by the first half. Then we have Ryan Tannehill, 37 fantasy points in week 15, 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 30.9 fantasy points, week 14. Then we got Trubisky that had a fat dud on that, 14 fantasy points. Then you had Desean Watson at 36 fantasy points in week 12 with 4 touchdowns. And we already know with the type of guys that he has around him, for Kirk Cousins, he could give you these stats. He could give you a 300-plus yard, 3 touchdowns, even 4 touchdowns. I mean, as you can see, he's actually getting some plays with Irv Smith. You already know about Dalvin Cook. And you got one of the top receivers in the game with Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. So Kirk Cousins should dominate here with a cheap price tag at $6,300 on DraftKings. Definitely want to sign me up here. I think it's a good play to look at. So Kirk Cousins, that's my first play at quarterback. Let's go ahead and put him in my spot, which I think he's going to be a nice GPP play. All right, because I know a lot of people are going to be looking at the Tampa and Falcons game, to where there's going to be more likely owned than this type of game. Where I think Kirk Cousins at $6,300 is a great price. All right, let's keep it going. Going to another play here. We do got Phillip Rivers. Now, Phillip Rivers is questionable. It seems like he's always questionable, but more likely he plays. He sat out practice on Wednesday. He has that toe injury he's dealing with, but should be able to be good to go in this play against the Jaguars, and where this is one of the games you definitely want to target a quarterback against this type of team, against the Jags. Where the Jags is giving up, Mitch Trubisky had 24 last week. Yeah, Lamar Jackson blew him up at 30. Ryan Tannehill, he had 16, which was ridiculous. But Kirk Cousins, 26 fantasy points that in week 13. Then you have Baker Mayfield with 18. So those are the 5 quarterbacks they played in the last 5. So a good spot you want to look at Phillip Rivers. He's cheap, 6K range. Looking at his upside, only game he really had a big upside game was against the Bengals. That was in week 6. He had 29 fantasy points against them with 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 331 yards. But going against the Jags, where the Jags, they give up 277 passing yards in the last so far for the season, 258 passing yards so far in the last 4 games, giving up 2.5 touchdowns, passing touchdowns a game, which is intriguing to look at. Around 69.8 completion percentage allowed. 32.4 fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks went away. So take that with a grain of salt. Phillip Rivers, he's averaging around 16.6 fantasy points a game. But knowing that the Jags give up a lot, went away. This could be a game where he can give you a 20-plus upside. 6K, I definitely like this price for Phillip Rivers. They've definitely been going with the run attack lately with Jonathan Taylor, and you got Naheem Hines in the backfield as well. But you still got guys like Zach Pascal. You got Zach Doyle, right? I think it's Zach Doyle. You still got T.Y. Hilton, man. So it's a good spot to target here with Phillip Rivers at 6K. I think it's a great play to look at. So going back here, I think also another play is some good value in this spot here to look at. If you need some savings at quarterback, I think Rivers will be a good play for your lines here. Let's go to another play where we do have Derek Carr. All right, now Derek Carr is 5,700. Going against Denver, where last year he played Denver at Denver, whereas they're at Denver again this week. Derek Carr had 23 fantasy points last year with 1 touchdown, but he had 391 yards that game. So he passed around 46 pass attempts that game. And Denver, they allowed 303 passing yards a game in the last 4 games. 23.5 fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks in the last 4 at home when they play at home. Around 25 fantasy points for allowed to opposing quarterbacks. So Derek Carr at 5,700 could be a cheap, viable play here. Really good look at for your lines. If you want to go that low, something to consider. It might be I'm not sure. It could be a tough game to try to like dissect here. You got Melvin Gordon on a run attack for Denver. It's definitely gonna be more of a run type of mindset for Denver, especially with their quarterback situation. But with this team, with Raiders, Raiders are also run oriented as well. I mean, you got Booker and Jacobs, both guys that, if they're winning by up pat 7, even 14 points, they're gonna stick to the running game. So this is definitely a boom or bust play for Derek Carr here. Looking at him for the season, I mean, he's done well in the last 4 games. I mean, he played the Jets, 36 fantasy points, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 381 yards. He played the Colts. He had 29 fantasy points with 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 316 yards in throwing. So he's averaging around, 32.8 pass attempts. So he had 45 pass attempts against the Colts, 47 pass attempts against the Jets. He got hurt against, of course, that game where, I mean, we all didn't see it coming, where Mariota against the Chargers. But then he played Miami last week where they lost by 1 point. It was a good game where he had 34 pass attempts, 1 touchdown, 336 passing yards. So it's a good play for Derek Carr at 5,700, knowing that in the last 3 games he's giving you 300 plus yards. So something you could look at here against Denver. Let's see. Definitely some value. Yeah, there's definitely some value with Derek Carr. We gotta go and dissect it more with other receivers for Derek Carr and see if they're in good positions. But there could be a viable spot here for Derek Carr at 5,700. FanDuel looking about 7,200. So if you could play, I would definitely more likely play Kirk Cousins. If you could get Kirk Cousins for 71 on FanDuel, I'm more likely going to. I'm sorry, he's 77. Kirk Cousins 77. Phillip Rivers is 73 on FanDuel, and then we got Derek Carr 7,200 on FanDuel. I think he's 7,200. But still, I mean, 5,700, not bad for his price. All right, let me go ahead and put him down. I don't know. I'll put him down later. I gotta go and look at his receivers and all that to see if he's actually a good play. But knowing he's throwing 300-something yards, man, why not? Look at here. Next spot we could look at. Got Desean Watson against Tennessee. Last time he played Tennessee, that was week 6. He had 35 fantasy points at Tennessee. I mean, he's playing at home this go around, but he is questionable, so we got to look into Watson. Let's see. Okay, so he had an arm injury, but he's actually off the injury report list today, so that's a good sign for Deshaun. But like I said, he had 35 last game, 4 touchdowns, 335 yards in week 6 against Tennessee. So something you could consider here with Desean Watson. He's averaging 297 yards for the season, 314 passing yards in the last 4 games, averaging 25 fantasy points for the season. He's actually averaging better at home. He's averaging around 29.2 fantasy points at home in the last 4 at home. So last game he played at home, he played the Bengals where he had 31 fantasy points in a loss. He lost by 6 with 3 touchdowns. He played the Colts at home. He had 1 interception, but he still had 341 yards, a rushing touchdown. So he had 24 fantasy points that game. He played the Patriots. He had 34 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. 27 against the Packers. 30 against the Jags at home. 24 against Minnesota at home. So he's playing well at home here for the season. And Tennessee's they're allowing 23.2 fantasy points allowed a game to the quarterbacks. So Desean Watson, good spot, 7,700 on DraftKings. He's going to be pricey on FanDuel, but overall, good spot to consider for your lines. Desean Watson, I think he's 8,700 on FanDuel. But I like this play for Desean Watson for cash. Still a good spot overall for him. All right, let me put that down for cash. We got Watson. If you haven't already, please subscribe. So I appreciate y'all that staying tuned to the chat and also the stream. All right, so let's go into the next play where we got Matt Ryan at 5,900 going against the Bucks. All right, going against the Bucks here. All right, now he's been real contrarian the last 2 games. Like, he's been real contrarian. The games where, yes, they still lose, but they're gonna have to pass the ball. All right, so 31 in week 15. He had 23 last week. So with his price tag, and he's cheap. He's 5,900 on DraftKings. He is 75 on FanDuel. This is another play where you could consider here, y'all. Like, we know he has to throw the ball. That's a given. You know, he has to throw the ball. And looking at the Bucks, they're not as good as we could think. I mean, they're playing worse at home. They're giving up 298.8 passing yards a game in the last 4 games, 1.8 touchdowns allowed. They allow around 69.9% in completion rate. 28.9 fantasy points allowed at home for the Bucks. All right, so let me look into the quarterbacks that they played. I mean, they had Matt Ryan lit him up last go around in week 15. He had 30 fantasy points. So as you can see, this guy could do work. 356 yards, 3 touchdowns against them. Patrick Mahomes had 35 fantasy points. You had Jared Goff out of all quarterbacks. Jared Goff had 28 against the Bucks. So the Bucks is not as good when they play at home. So Matt Ryan, great play to look at for your lines. Just another cheap play that you could get a guy that's cheap and can give you upside, knowing he has to pass the ball. We know he has to throw the ball to stay close in this game with Tom Brady. So, and he did well last game. I mean, it was real close. It was 27-31. They lost by 4 points. So hopefully it'll be another game to target where, he keep it close here. See, last time he played Bucks at Tampa, he had 19 last season. He had 33 against them in 2018, 2016. He had 32 at Tampa. So it shows upside here. So I like this play for Matt Ryan once again, especially him having to try to catch up, trying to catch up on the offense. Cause we already know how Atlanta just gives us so much fantasy points. So they're going to have to keep up with this high speed offense with Tampa. So Matt Ryan, good spot to always consider playing from behind. So Matt Ryan, great play. He's real cheap. All right, let's keep it rolling. Okay. All right, we got Drew Brees. Drew Brees at 5,900. All right, so 5,900 for Drew Brees. Now, he didn't do as much as we thought he would against the Vikings. He only had 13 fantasy points, 2 interceptions. Just coming out of that injury, man. This guy, I guess he's shaking that rust off. And he had 20 against the Chiefs when he came back. So maybe this could be another game where he could do well. He's done great against Carolina in his history against Carolina. Even earlier this year in Week 7, he had 25 fantasy points against them. They won by 3 points. It was a good game. So they won by 3. He had 2 touchdowns, 287 yards. I think this is going to be a game we have to monitor with the receivers because, of course, without his guys, with Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I think it was Emmanuel Sanders that was out. Was it Traquan Smith that was out? I mean, he got guys, man. If you take away the puzzle, man, he's no good. So we got to monitor this play with Drew Brees because if you don't got the guys that helps him along the way, I mean, damn, Kamara just went ape shit. Good Lord. 6 touchdowns? So he didn't have to do much. And we know Carolina gives up the running game. So we got to double check with this play with Drew Brees if they're out again. If they're out, then, yeah, go ahead, throw in Kamara again. And Drew Brees don't have to do much, So, but one thing about Carolina, they do allow around 2.3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. 1.7 touchdowns for the season, but 2.3 so far in the last 4. They give up around 22.5 fantasy points allowed in the last 4 games. So the defense hasn't been as good. So Drew Brees, we got to monitor this play for Drew Brees here at 5,900. So I'll have to monitor this play. So I'm not going to put him in my favorite plays as of right now because of the injuries. I got to look into it. So as I get into the receivers, I can see who's not playing, who's questionable. And if they are playing, then I would throw Brees in my top plays for GBP. I think he's a great play. But like I said, we'll look into it once I get to the receivers. All right. Tom Brady, of course, 7,200. All right. Another good play for him. But he hasn't been playing good at home. This might be something to look at, y'all. Like, I mean, a lot of people don't want to look at the home splits, away splits. I like to look at everything. That's how I play. That's how I've been successful in it. I like to look at everything to where it is justifiable to pay $7,200. Yes, he's done well in the last 2 games. He played ATL in Week 15. That was a away game. He played Detroit away. Last week, that was a away game at Detroit. He's only averaging around 17 fantasy points so far for the season at home. All right, so looking at his games at home, well, he did play well against the Chiefs where he had 27 at home, but at all teams, he only had 16 fantasy points against the Vikings. He only had 15 fantasy points. I mean, that's a tough defense against the Rams. 15. Of course, everyone remembers the game where he played Saints. He only had 5 fantasy points. He played Green Bay at home. He only had 15 fantasy points. He played Carolina at home in Week 2. He only had 11 fantasy points. So this is something it's a cash play, obviously, but major upside here, I'm not sure. All right, I really feel like you could pivot here, especially a lot of people going to go this play. Now, if you're going cash lines, of course, Tom Brady is a good play. He's looking at ATL. They do allow 301 yards, passing yards, for the season. 2 touchdowns allowed every a game for the season. Around 69.4 completion percentage. But one thing about ATL, they actually playing better a win away. They averaging only 18.9 fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks win away. But 22 fantasy points is allowed that they allow so far in the last 4. 25.5 fantasy points allowed for the season. So Tom Brady, 7,200 on Draftkings. Now on FanDuel, he is 8,400. 8,400 on FanDuel. He's going to be a good play to look at, so I will put him as a cash play. Yeah, cash play. will be Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Brady. All right. Let's keep it moving. Okay, we got Ryan Tannehill at 7,000 against Houston, where last time he played Houston was Week 6. He had 34 fantasy points against them, 4 touchdowns, 364 yards with an interception that game. He's averaging 22 fantasy points for the season, 18 fantasy points when he plays away. All right, so that's something you want to take note. All his upside games were home games, y'all. So keep that in mind. When he played Jacksonville, he was at home. He had 27 fantasy points against Jacksonville at home. He played the Bills. He had 30 fantasy points at home. He played Houston. That's 34 fantasy points. He played at home. He had a 32 fantasy point game against Cleveland at home. He had 37 fantasy points against Detroit. That was week 15 at home. So keep that in mind when we're looking at this spot. Now, Houston, they are allowing 23.7 fantasy points at home for the last 4 games. 287 passing yards allowed, 2.3 passing touchdowns allowed. That's over the 1.9 for the season. So they actually been giving up more fantasy points allowed when at home. So this could be a play where 7K, it could even out. He's done well against Houston, like I said. Last time he played at home he played Houston at home, he had 18 fantasy points. That was last year. He had 2 touchdowns, 198 yards that game. But he got better players, He got so many different ways to attack this Houston defense. So 7K, still a great play to look at. But of course, we mentioned other upside plays you could put in your lines. You don't have to pay up, which is good. You don't have to pay up for. But like I said, it's still a good spot to consider, especially with the weapons he has around him. So Ryan Tannehill, 7K on DraftKings. He's only 70. He's 8,200 on FanDuel. 8,200 on FanDuel. So yeah, that's that. Still like him here, Tannehill. All right, we got Cam Newton at 55. I'm not really sure. He's playing the Jets at all teams. Just not sure, man. It's hard to watch this guy. They don't trust him. They don't trust him, man. And I think they gave up on him. He played the Jets week 9. He played the Jets at week 9. He had 25 fantasy points, 274 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns that game. So 5,500 for Cam Newton. I don't know if they moved on. I don't know if they just want to put in their backup quarterback like they did last week and call it a season. It's the last game, I guess, into the playoffs. So I don't know. I'm not gonna waste my time with Cam. I guess if you want to be risky and go with Cam, go ahead, but it's against the Jets at all teams. It is against the Jets. He did well last game against the Jets. I just feel like they're done with Cam. They gave him a 1-year contract, so yeah, that's how I feel about the situation with Cam. It just sucks to see him. He has nobody around him, man. So that's that, but yeah. Cam, I don't want to put him in my line. He's a play for sure, but I just don't want to risk it. It's not really a risk that I want to take here. So I'm going to pass on that. Of course, you got Aaron Rodgers going against the Bears. All right, should be a great game. Now, he played the Bears in Week 12, and it was a good game, 41-25 that game. He had 26 fantasy points, 4 touchdowns. It was a good game to look at. Now, looking at the Bears, they actually give up more at home for the season. In the last 4 games, they allowed 24.8 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. We know how Aaron Rodgers is. Like, we know who he is, man. So, Aaron Rodgers in this play. Now, looking at the quarterbacks they played previously, you got Kirk Cousins had 20 fantasy points against the Bears. Matt Stafford at all quarterbacks, he had 30. And then Aaron Rodgers in week 12. So those are the 5 quarterbacks. I mean, we got Desean Watson. He only had 16. You had Glennon last week. He had 14. So those are the 5 quarterbacks in the last 5 against the Bears. But the Bears show that they actually give up more fantasy points at home for the season. So something to consider if you want to look at Rodgers here. We all know what he can do with the ball, man. He's just a magician with the ball. It is what it is with him. But going against the Bears at 7,400, I really don't feel like you have to go this route. But, man, this guy's been real consistent with his numbers this year. He's averaging around 25 fantasy points for the season. 29.2 fantasy points allowed win away in the last 4 games. So he played Detroit at home. At Detroit, he had 31. He played the Colts. He had 27. He played my Niners. He had 32. He played Houston. He had 27. He played the Saints. He had 25. So 7,400 for Rodgers. I mean, we know what he could do with the ball, y'all. That's the thing. We know what he could do. So you could go this route with Aaron Rodgers here. Cash. Rodgers. Mic check. So, Ryan. What the hell, man? Let me lock the volume in. I don't know what the hell happened. Dang. So I was talking about Josh Allen. I don't know where I stopped at. I think I was talking about Cam Newton. No, I was talking about Andy Dalton against Philly. It was impressive seeing him, score the way he did against Philly with 3 touchdowns. It was a good game from them. From Cowboys, 31 fantasy points. But like I said, against the Giants, I don't really feel like against the Giants is something I want to target with Andy. The Giants has been real good defense. Overall, they are only allowing around 18 fantasy points to the quarterbacks. So Andy Dalton's a play where I might fade here. But looking at, like I said, about Josh Allen, this guy's been real good lately. I mean, just in the last 4 games, he's averaging, he had, 12 touchdowns in the last 4 games. 1 interception in the last 4, y'all. Like, this guy's been a beast. And playing in Miami, he played well against Miami. Last game he played them in week 2, he had 37 fantasy points, 4 touchdowns, 417 yards in that game, which was ridiculous. So he's had a great history against Miami. 2018 he had 34, 41 in the last 2. Last year he had 21, 34. So the fact that he has 37 here, who knows? He might have another 37, even a 40-plus game like he did in 2018. I'm not really sure, but Josh Allen just has so many different ways of attacking defense, and he's real impressive to watch. So he's averaging around 323 passing yards in the last 4 games, over 32 fantasy points so far in the last 4 games. Like, he's just been tearing it up lately. So Josh Allen could be a play where you could look at. So at this play, Josh Allen, 7,600 for him. What is he on FanDuel? He is 8,200 on FanDuel. So a guy that, he has potential upside here. So of course he's not in the ideal matchup against the Dolphins, but the Dolphins actually has been allowing more fantasy points win away. So if you're looking into that stat, I think it's okay to have Josh Allen in your plays. 7,600 still is a play where you could consider. If you want to go that route, don't feel like you have to, but he shows that he has upside against this team. Position plays. Allen. Lamar Jackson against the Bengals. It's a potential play, but he only had 15 last go around against the Bengals. I mean, it was only set. It was 23-7. So he only had two touchdowns, one interception. In that game in week 5, but he done well. I mean, he's averaging around 33.5 fantasy points in the last 2 games against the Bengals last year, and that was all with the running game. He had like 125 rushing yards one game in 2019, 1 touchdown, 236 yards. We already know he don't have to throw the ball. He's one of those guys that could just beat you by the legs. So Lamar Jackson 8K. I'm not really going that route for Lamar Jackson, so I'm more likely going to fade Lamar Jackson here, even though he's going against the Bengals. I'm just going to pass on that price. Russell Wilson against my Niners. I'm gonna pass on that. I mean, you could go this route. He did play the Niners. Was it week 8? He had 29 fantasy points against us. Well, he had 4 touchdowns. Good gosh, 4 touchdowns. We actually played better at home, but we're not playing at home. I mean, of course, we're not allowed back in California. So Russell Wilson could be ideal at 7,300. The Niners is allowing around 1.5 touchdowns. We're just building, man. I'm just done with my team this year. I'm heartbroken, man. So Russell Wilson can do whatever he wants to do with his team. I'm not gonna play Russell Wilson, so that's my take. I'm not gonna play him here, but it is what it is. $7,300 for him. Yeah. I mean, you could get him for $75 on FanDuel. I like this play on FanDuel for Russell Wilson. I mean, he's cheap. $7,500 for Russell Wilson on FanDuel. Not bad of a play. Shit, I might have to throw him in there just cause. $7,500 for a guy that could give you upside on FanDuel is a good spot. I mean, Draftkings, he's still $7,300, so it's a good play on both platforms for Russell Wilson. Let's see what else we're gonna go here. We got Mr. Trubisky against the Packers. I don't know about this play. I mean, he's $5,600. He's been on the up-down trend. I like to look at trends too. So he's been on the up-down trend. And he hasn't been playing good at home. But nonetheless, I mean, he was gone for 7 games this year. So I can't say that. But Green Bay, they do allow around 19.9 fantasy points in the last 4 games at win away. But Trubisky against Green Bay has only been allowing 236 passing yards. One way you want to attack Green Bay is against the running game. You should just plug in David Montgomery and call it a day. You know what I'm saying? So Mr. Trubisky, I mean, he's 5,600. He's shown like last week against the Jags, he had 25 fantasy points against the Jaguars. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 rushing touchdown from Mr. Trubisky at all players. Like, it's impressive, but for his price tag, he's cheap enough to where you can get some upside for Mitchie Trubisky. So I mean, you can go this route. But those are the plays I'm looking at. Not really on Murray against the Rams, especially on a division game against the Rams. I mean, he only had 18 last go around against the Rams. He did have 3 touchdowns, but it was hard for him in that game. It was 28-38 that game. So Tyler Murray at his price. I mean, Kyler Murray. I'm gonna pass on that. So those are the plays I'm looking at for quarterback so far. So let me know who's your favorite quarterback for week 17. And we'll get into the running backs here shortly. Mellow beat. We back. All right, let me go ahead and put Mitch in there. I was thinking a little bit. I think you could put Mitch Trubisky in there. I'm gonna put Trubisky as GPP type play. Whoops. Hold on. What did I do? All right, here we go. All right, let's look into the running backs. And of course, my window capture isn't on. Fuck. There we go. Well, we got Derrick Henry. I mean, obviously he's a good play, but man, $9,400 for Derrick Henry against Houston. And then you got another price tag to look at on FanDuel where they priced him up. If you want to play him, boy, you gotta pay up. Then you gotta pay what? $10,000, $10,200. I don't know about that one, sir, but I think you could pivot, man. But we saw what they did to him last go around, man. When we thought, especially against Detroit, I think it was against Detroit. Man. No, it wasn't Detroit. Was it Detroit? I just felt like he should have had way more, and he just kept getting. He's kept getting robbed from his touchdowns. My boy Brad was talking about, man, like. Freaking Tannehill was getting like 17-yard touchdowns, man. It was ridiculous the way they were utilizing him, especially at this price tag. You get a guy at 9.4 or 9K range, he better give you 30 plus, 40 plus. So the fact that the way they treated him in that game, man, I'm not safe to pull the trigger on Derrick Henry here, even though he's in the ideal spot against Houston. Like Houston's allowing around 129 rushing yards allowed a game in the last 4, 138 rushing yards a game for the season, around 33.7 fantasy points allowed for the season to the running game. This is an ideal play for Henry, but the way they utilized him, man, I don't feel like he's safe. He's not safe. It looks too good to be true. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just looks too good to be true. I mean, that's what it boils down. Let me see. Like, you had Gio Bernard. Gio Bernard last week had 20 fantasy points. You had Jonathan Taylor. He got robbed, but he still had 19 fantasy points. You had David Montgomery. Of course, he gave you 27 fantasy points. Jonathan Taylor, again, had 22. I mean, it's an ideal spot for Derrick Henry, but of course they find ways to rob him for his touchdowns. So I'm not safe to have Derrick Henry in my lines. He should give you at least 40 plus fantasy points here. What's up, Chris? Yeah, earlier my stream, my volume cut off on me, so no one could hear me, and then of course my stream ended. So I just want to check in and see if y'all can hear me. So I'm glad y'all can hear me now. So I appreciate you. What's up, baby? Come here. Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Come here. Want to say hi? Look. You want to say hi? Look. Wow. Look. You say hi? You say hi? Wow. Say hi, everybody. It's time we go to sleep. Go upstairs. Come on. Be careful. Go. Come on, baby. All right, y'all. Boy Chris said, "What's up? What's up, Joe? What up, Joe?" So Derrick Henry, 9,400. I mean, I appreciate you, homie. You got a 4-year-old. She just turned 2 on yesterday. So, any tips? Right now, she's dealing with the whole potty training phase. That's what I got to deal with right now, the potty training phase. But let's go ahead and lock in cash. Of course, it's Henry. I will have just maybe one line with Henry. I'm not going to lie to you. It's just a great play. This is a great play for Henry here. It just everything screams to run the ball against Houston. They're just atrocious against the running game. I mean, at the end of the day, that patience. I have patience, man. I'll take it. It's hard, man. Like the other day, she put her oranges in the potty, man. It wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna need a lot of patience with her. All right, let's get to the next spot here where we got Giovanni Bernard again. I mean, Giovanni Bernard could be another play once again against the Baltimore. I think Baltimore is a team where I think a lot of people are not going to look at. Right? He said Janu will steal a touchdown. Exactly. Like, I think, yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, they stole so many touchdowns from him last go around, bro. It was literally like they did it on purpose. Like they knew that game script was all about Derrick Henry, and they just found any way for him not to score the ball. They were like, look, it's not fair for him to get touchdowns. But but this is the thing too. I'm trying to put this together. Maybe they might have since the fact they had Alvin Kamara, the fact Alvin Kamara was able to do 6 touchdowns. They might say, you know what, Henry, run the ball all day. We want you to get 6 touchdowns too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could think like that too. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to completely fade Henry here because it's like they probably were like, you know what, we're gonna do the whole sportsmanship of not running down their throats with Henry because they know they can. So they try to find other ways to score touchdowns. But after seeing Alvin Kamara, they probably say, you know what? Fuck it. Just go ahead and do your thing. Get 5 touchdowns. See how much you can get. You know what I'm saying? To where he might give you a 60 fantasy point game. You know? I think they had the whole sportsmanship thing going on, which is okay. I mean, it's respectful. But when you got a guy like Alvin Kamara giving you 6 touchdowns, now you just threw away the whole sportsmanship. You know what I'm saying? Like it's time for Henry to get it's time for Henry to get 6 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe try to give him 7. And if he try to get 7, I think you have to play a little bit of Henry, man. He's in the ideal spot. But that's my 2 cents on that. But I feel like it was all about sportsmanship for the Titans. They didn't want to just constantly score with him. But yeah, I think the whole Kamara, once he did that, that's out the picture. You know what I'm saying? But let's go back to the play I was looking at. Yeah, man, like who does that to people? Like exactly, Chris. Like who does that? 6 touchdowns? He ain't have to do that. So that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like this go around, there's no limits. You know what I'm saying? Like just try to beat Alvin Kamara's, you know what I mean, his record. You know, why not? But let's keep it rolling. Like I said, Giovanni Bernard, I mean, he's 5,400 going against Baltimore. I think he's in the ideal spot here to where if you wanted to pay down, you can. Let's see. He's 5,400, right? He had 20 last game. He had 20 last game against Houston. Like I said, if he had 20 fantasy points without a touchdown, y'all, against Houston. That's what I'm trying to say. Like Henry, he could, if Gio Bernard could give you 20 fantasy points without a touchdown, what do you think Henry's going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it's like I can't really fade Henry here. But then again, Gio Bernard is a good. I mean, he's been atrocious in the last before he bounced back against Pittsburgh. No one thought he was going to bounce back on Pittsburgh. I tell you today, no one thought he was going to give you 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. He was on a horrible slump. I think we even looked at Travion Williams. I mean, I even looked at Travion Williams. I think it was a night game, so it was like a showdown game to where I think everybody was looking at Travion Williams here because Bernard was just horrible in those last 4 games before Pittsburgh. He was garbage. He would give you less than 10 fantasy points in the last 4 games. But he revived himself to where he had 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh, 16 carries against Houston, no touchdowns, but still gave you 20 fantasy points with his price tag. And he was 4K. He was like in the 4K range in those 2 games. So now they priced him around 54, which is still okay. I mean, a guy that's 5K that can give you 20 plus upside is okay. And Baltimore hasn't been a good team against the running backs lately. Now, one thing about him, he is also a pass-catching running back, which helps him here because Baltimore do allow around 5 receptions to the running backs, 46.8 receiving yards in the last 4 games. So if you're going to attack the Ravens, you have to attack them with a pass-catching running back. And he is he's like that. I mean, he had 8 targets last week. He had 7 receptions, 66 receiving yards. So that's a way to attack Baltimore. It's a pass-catching running back. And he is that type of guy. So Gio Bernard at 5,400 could be a nice little still play. He can still give you that 20 plus upside here, to where they have to throw the ball against Pittsburgh. Against the Ravens. You have to throw the ball. If you're going to be behind, you got to throw the ball. So not going to stick to the running game. I think Giovanni Bernard at 5,400 is a good play to look at. Yeah, exactly. You have to play Henry in cash. I agree with you on that. So I say Gio Bernard, man, he could be a nice little play here. He's a cheap play, so I like this play for him. All right, let's go to the next spot where we have Deandre Swift. Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. He only had 10 fantasy points last week against the Bucks, but this guy is a ground and pound run. I mean, he's a beast, dog. Like, watch him play. I mean, DeAndre Swift is a great running back. Now he's going against Minnesota, and one thing about Minnesota, they give up the running game. So I'm not sure if you want to play GPP. I really feel like you don't have to pay up to Henry. You can fade Henry in GPPs because you got a lot of great running backs in this type of in these type of price ranges. So let's see. You got Deandre Swift. He is 6,300 on DraftKings. He is 7,500 on FanDuel. I like this spot for him. Like, I mean, he had a dud against the Tampa game, but still a good spot, man. Like, he could give you a 20+ upside, like he did against the Titans, the Washington squad, Jaguars. He gave you 30. And this is a good team to target, y'all. Like, Minnesota there's one thing you attack them is against the run. I mean, he didn't do well last go around when he played them in week 9. He only had 13 fantasy points. But knowing that he's getting more of the load, and they think at that time they were really testing the waters to see how they're going to utilize the running game with the backfield of, with Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson and those guys. But Deandre Swift does it all, man. And this guy, he's averaging around 5 targets a game, 4.3 receptions in the last 4 games. He's averaging around 18.5 fantasy points in the last 4. But one thing about the Vikings, they allowing 113 rushing yards a game for the season, 1.1 touchdowns allowed for the running backs. But in the last 4 games, they gave up 2.5 touchdowns to the running backs. So looking at who they played, I guess that's the whole Kamara right there. So you got Kamara, gave you 59 fantasy points. You had David Montgomery, week 15, he had 32. You had Ronald Jones for Tampa, had 15. He had James Robinson that gave you 22. So Deandre Swift is an amazing spot here, where you don't want to pay up. Is a great guy you could target with Deandre Swift. I like this play for him here. 6,300, 75 on FanDuel. Still a good spot to consider for your plays for this week. All right, and then let's look at yeah, appreciate you. Yeah, definitely. Think Swift. He's a beast, man. He tears up that turf, bro. Like, when I see him, man, he just runs with force, man. Like, he's a bulldozer. But this guy could be a great play here against the Vikings. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I'm trying to figure out where am I looking at right now. Okay. What else can we look at? Can we look at Josh Jacobs? 6,200. If you want to pivot down, I mean, you got Josh Jacobs at $100 less. 74 on FanDuel. He plays well against Denver. So Denver has been allowing 30.8 fantasy points in the last 4 games at home. So I guess that's a way you target him, is at home. They allow around 25.8 at home for the season. Josh Jacobs had 33 fantasy points last game in week 10. 33 fantasy points, 21 carries, 2 touchdowns. And then last year he played Denver. He had 2 touchdowns, 23 carries, 24 fantasy points. So he's averaging around 28 fantasy points against Denver in the last 2 games in 2 years. So Josh Jacobs could be a nice little pivot. I mean, he could be real sneaky here. I mean, a lot of people don't want to target Denver's defense, which makes it low owned. So a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people don't like to target, teams against Denver's defense, but they don't really give up as much. But one thing about Raiders, they like to pound the ball down your throat. That's the way they play. I mean, I mean, yeah. You gotta understand, man. Like they got Aguilar as a receiver. They got Hunter Renfrow. You got Henry Ruggs. You got guys that are not even elite receivers. Only guy that's considered to me an elite receiver on the Raiders is Darren Waller. Like Darren Waller is their receiver. Like he's a tight end, but no, he's a slash receiver. He is their receiver. So Josh Jacobs is a great spot at 6,200. I think he'd be real low on here. He's just a beast. So I like the spot for him here to where he's going to be low on. So you don't have to go up to Henry here. We got a lot of cheaper plays. I mean, honestly, if you want to look on DraftKings and have like a running back type of lineup, if you want to look at, 3 running backs, have like Jacob in your flex, could be something to look at here where he could give you that 20 plus upside as he done in the last 2 years against Denver. So like this play for him here. And he's cheap, 6,200. All right. Let's see who else can we consider. Well, we have the two infamous guys once again. We got Jonathan Taylor or Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines, I mean, he's 4,900 for his price tag, but he still gives you around that 10 plus upside. I mean, it's not really upside. I mean, 4,900, you want a guy to give you at least 15 to be considered upside in that price range. But I like this play for Jonathan Taylor once again, man. Jonathan Taylor in a great play against Jacksonville, where Jacksonville gives up 145 rushing yards. 145 rushing yards in the last 4 games. 117 rushing yards for the season. They give up 34.6 fantasy points to the position, around 28.6 win at home. So, win away. Yes, win away. Sorry about that. So Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he's been ideal. Like he played Houston 23. He played the Raiders 34. Played Houston again 20. He played Pittsburgh. He had 19. I mean, Pittsburgh is not as. I mean, they're one of the top defense in the league. So I mean, the fact that he had 19 against them was impressive. So you're going against a weak team like the Jaguars. I mean, he didn't play well last go around where he had 15 in the loss. They lost by 7, but I think it's going to be a way different type of ball game here with the Colts. They should be able to steamroll this team with Jacksonville. Knowing that James Robinson, I think he's out too. So, I mean, there's so many different ways that they could lose this game for Jacksonville. Colts should be a great defense to target. If they don't got James Robinson, like James Robinson was everywhere, but I don't think he wants to play. There's no point in him playing on the last game. There's no point. There's no point wasting all that energy. They're looking at a 14-point favorite. So if they're going to be in the lead like this, they're going to run this ball down their throats. So Jonathan Taylor could be a great spot. I mean, both guys. Nyheim Hines at 4,900. If they utilize both guys here, and let's say Taylor gave you 20-some, I don't know, maybe 30 fantasy points, and Nyheim Hines had 20 fantasy points. I mean, they could hit them with a double dragon here where they just constantly running the ball with both Taylor and Hines. You know what I mean? So, both guys in play. I think both guys in play. Nyheim Hines, he had 27 fantasy points against the Jags last time in week 1. So, in week 1, he had 27 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. He had 8 targets that game. So Nyheim Hines was in the passing game. And you could hit this team any type of way with the running game. Like 145 rushing yards allowed. They allowed 4.8 receptions, 48 receiving yards to the team. Like Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines are in play. You could plug both guys in your line here. Hey now, my bad, G. Kirk Cousins, he's a Steelers fan. Hey, don't get me wrong. I'm a 49ers fan, bro. Like I know y'all looking bad, but my team is non-existent right about now. So bear with me on that. But like this play for both guys here. If you want to target Hines and also Taylor, I think Hines will be more of a GPP. I think he's a great value play. knowing that he gave you 20 plus in week 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could hit all different type of avenues here. I think Taylor's a good cash play. Yeah. That's how I'm gonna attack this game. I think you could attack both guys here in this game. I mean, you get a guy like Hines for 4,900 that could give you that 20 plus upside like he did last game. Taylor could give you that 20 here. I mean, I just see this game being back and forth with Hines and Taylor. That's all I see in this game against Jacksonville. And then you could plug in Colts defense. I think Colts defense is in play. Yeah. Yeah, Colts defense. All right. Let's see. Let's keep it rolling. We got my guy this week will be David Johnson. I like David Johnson here. He's finally getting the ball. He's finally getting the ball that we want him to get. I mean, Desean Watson can't do everything on his own. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do everything on his own. Even though he wants to, you can't do everything on your own. You know, and sorry about that, y'all. Got these games planned for NBA. Gotta make sure I got some good games. But David Johnson, man, he had 27 against the Colts, 32 against the Bengals. You know, great spot, man, for him. Going against the Tennessee Titans here. Love this play for him. Finally, they giving him the ball. Like, just give him the ball, man. That's all I can say. Going against the Titans, this is a good game to target him in. The Titans allowing 100 yards, rushing yards for the season to the opposing running backs. Around 1.3 touchdowns allowed in the last 4 games. 122 rushing yards allowed in the last 4 games. They give up around 28 fantasy points. Went away to the position. So if I was to look at David Johnson, of course we got Swift. He had 23 against them. He had Nick Chubb. He had 17. Hines had 17. Aaron Jones had 12 last week. He had James Robinson had 12. I like this play, man. I think it's a great spot for him. Just feed him the ball. I think you just feed David Johnson the ball. Like, I don't know why they waited till the end of the year to figure shit out, but David Johnson at this price, $6,800, and then you can get him for $73 on FanDuel. I think it's a good spot for David Johnson here. So, like David Johnson here. He is my cover guy for the week, but great play. We want to look at this spot. So, Johnson. And then let's look at where's my rest of my play though? We got Austin Eckler at 75. I don't know if I want to go that route against the Chiefs. I don't know. So last time he played the Chiefs, that was week 2. He had 19 fantasy points, 16 carries, no touchdowns. But if he had a touchdown, I mean, he could give you a 20 plus upside. But $7,500. against the Chiefs. I don't know, man. One thing about him, I mean, he's a pass catching running back, y'all. Like, that's the way Eckler is. That's the way you got to attack this team against the Chiefs. The Chiefs is allowing 5.3 receptions to the running backs, around 46 receiving yards to the running backs. They're not really giving up touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Like, they're not really giving touchdowns to the running backs. And Eckler, I mean, he just need a touchdown. If you get a touchdown, he can give you that 20+ upside. But in the last 2 years against the Chiefs in 3 games, so in the last 3 games in 2 years against the Chiefs, he never had a touchdown. But 7,500, I mean, you need a guy to give you upside here. So he did have a 24 fantasy points game against the Chiefs. He had 12 targets, 8 receptions, 108 receiving yards, no touchdowns, only 5 carries that game. So, I mean, they used him different that year. I think that was when Melvin Gordon was playing, if I'm not mistaken. So they used him more of a pass catcher, Melvin Gordon more of a running back. So I'm not sure. That's why I'm thinking was how they utilized him last year. But yeah, he only had 19 last week. This year against the Chiefs. I mean, 7,500 for Eckler. We already talked about a few guys in the 6K range I'd rather pivot to. I don't know if I want to go up to 75 for a guy that more likely not going to give me upside. So, I'm more likely going to fade Eckler. I'm going to go ahead and fade him. I think you could pay down the 6K range and get that upside. Not sure about, and then on top of that, I mean, they got so many guys in the backfield. You know, you got Kalen Ballage. Ballage likes to steal his thunder at the red zone. It's like when Eckler does all the work. Eckler would do all the work to get him down the field, and then they put Ballage in to score the touchdown. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's highway robbery, man. It's like I do all the work to get you down the field, and you're gonna throw in Ballage and get the touchdown. Like, come on, man. Like, nah, I'm good with that. Of course, you got David Montgomery. He's constantly been on the roll for the last 5 games. 28 against the. He got 28 against the Packers, 27 against Detroit, 28 against Houston, 32 against Vikings, 20 against. This guy is a 20 monster, man. He gave you two. Hey, he got 20s all over on the last 5 games. And going against the Packers, like the Packers actually been playing better in defense against the opposing running backs. I'm not sure if that's just the team they've been facing. Let me look him up and see who. Let me see who they've been playing. Let's see, Johnson. So you got. What am I talking about Johnson for? I didn't mean to say Johnson. David Montgomery. Yeah, I mean, they had Derrick Henry last week. He had 9 fantasy points. You got Mike Davis had 8. You had Swift had 15. Miles Sanders had 3. But Montgomery, he lit him up last go around in week 12. I mean, he's going to be highly owned. He's probably going to be the top high owned running back once again this week. Yeah, he is. He's 35% owned. So if you want to pivot, I mean, you can. I mean, he's cash. I mean, he's a cash plot against the Packers. He's a cash play. I mean, he's averaging around 23 fantasy points in 5 high-scoring games. They're looking at a 23.3 implied team total here. 52 points in this game they're projecting. So, David Montgomery is a good cash play to look at here. Let's see. Yeah, he's just overall a good cash play. Montgomery. Let's see. Let me go put him in there. Of course, I'm not about my Niners. I mean, it's tough to play my Niners. I mean, you got Jeff Wilson. He was 5K last week against Arizona, and he showed out. I mean, I'm really impressed about Jeff Wilson, where he had 30 fantasy points. He had 22 carries, 183 rushing yards, 2 targets. He was everywhere, so it was good to see him doing that. I'm not sure he's going to do that again. I mean, going against Seattle, I mean, he's 6K. I'm not paying 6K for a guy that I'm not sure about. So I'm going to fade that. I'm not paying that. I think Zeke is going to play here, so Tony Pollard this might not be in play. Going against the Giants, I mean, the Giants do allow rushing yards. They allow 108 rushing yards in the last 4. Around 25.8 fantasy points allowed to the running backs so far for the last 4 games. I guess 25 fantasy points allowed in the season to running backs. I mean, he had 24 last go around against the Giants. He had 24 fantasy points in week 5. He had 2 touchdowns, 19 carries that game. Last time he played at New York, that was last year. He only had 17. So I'm not really sold on this play for Zeke. I mean, he did show some signs of that he bounced back against Philly here, and who knows, but I want to know what y'all think about him. What do y'all think about Zeke? Is he a play? Let me know. I mean, there's a lot of hype from last week. He might be a hype for no reason. But I mean, he had a good game last week. But 6,400, I mean, it could be another play here. I'm just not sold on it. I actually like the Giants defense this week, but somebody got to win. You got Melvin Gordon at 5,700. Going against the Raiders, where he done damage against the Raiders. I mean, he didn't do well last game in Week 10 against them. He had 11 carries, 46 yards, 2 targets that game. But one thing, I think it's a good spot for him, man. When he was playing with other teams, obviously other teams, he's dominated them. I mean, in this is a division game. He's been dominant. Last year, he averaged 23 fantasy points. 2018, he averaged around 25 fantasy points. 2017, he averaged around 20-plus fantasy points against, in the last 3 seasons, he's been balling against the Raiders. And that's the team that you have to target. If you're going to target the Raiders, you got to beat them by the run. They allowing around 105 rushing yards for the season to opposing running backs. But in the last 4 games, they gave up 139.8 rushing yards. Around 1 touchdown a game to opposing running backs. Around 33 fantasy points allowed to the running backs. So Melvin Gordon could be a great play at 5,700. I like this. I like the price tag a lot. You could definitely get off a lot of chalk plays with that as well. Let me see, Melvin Gordon. Yeah, 5,700 for a guy that has potential, man. He could give you that 20-plus upside here. Like Melvin Gordon. MG3. All right, and see, I like Zeke more than Dalton. Yeah, I agree with Jay on that. I agree with you on that. I really don't like Dalton in this play. It could be a spot where they just stay with the run and let Zeke just run all night, all night long. But with all those type of receivers, I doubt it. But that's one thing I think you have to target the Giants. You have to target with the running game. If the running game don't work, then of course you guys start throwing the ball. But Zeke, I mean, he's gonna get the carries to where this could be a spot where I don't know why I'm here. I only play NBA. El Guap. What's up, G? I appreciate you on here, man. Shout out to El Guap, man. He only watched NBA, and I appreciate you on the NFL stream, bro. I really do. Hope I'm entertaining. I guess I'm keeping y'all entertained. So he said, Ryan, good total in Broncos Raiders game. I agree. Don't go against Vegas. I'm about to get into it. Don't go against Vegas. Yeah, I mean, I do the whole lines and stuff like that. If you want to go into the lines and I mean, I make a good amount of money on that as well. But he's out watch NFL though. But hey, it's all good. I appreciate you on the stream, man. Shout out to El Guap, man. Trust me, you don't even have to be on here. It's 10 o'clock on my time. It's 10 o'clock right now. But I appreciate y'all. Chris, I appreciate you. Ryan, I appreciate you. Y'all being on the chat, man. Y'all don't have to be here, but I appreciate y'all being here. Watching me dissect it, because literally, that's why I do my live streams. Cause I'm literally doing it. I'm doing all my dissecting live, man, because I don't have the time to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm full-time dad and full-time job outside of here. So this is the time where I like to dissect everything in one big stream. If you're not on the stream, then you can just catch it. You can catch it and just forward all the way to the end and see all my plays. You know what I'm saying? But appreciate y'all staying on the stream. I really do. You don't have to. Definitely don't have to. Okay, what else was I talking about? Oh yeah, we talked about Denver. Like, the Denver and Raiders is a great game to target. Like, you want to go like Melvin Gordon, Josh Jacobs type of line. I think this type of lineup this week, you could definitely do a 3 running back lineup. Like, you could have 3 running backs in your line. A great, until we get to the receivers. So far, I'm looking at it like you could literally have a 3-man running back lineup. Another game you could see, another player you could look at for some savings. I guess maybe like if I look at the Ravens game with the Bengals, one guy is really intriguing to me is Gus Edwards. I like Gus Edwards a lot. J.K. Dobbins, yeah, he's been consistent. He's averaging around 10.3 fantasy points. But one thing about Gus Edwards, I like, he's the type of running back that they look at in the end zone, like the red zone. So in the last 4 games for Gus, like, he had 13, 18, 10, 14, and his price tag is real intriguing for me. So if I was to pivot from Dobbins, I would definitely look at Gus Edwards at 4,900. That can give you that hopefully could give you 14 plus fantasy points here. But he's a great value in my opinion. Just the fact that he's just getting he's getting around. I guess he got so far in the last 4 games 11 rushing in the red zone. But Gus Edwards at 4,900 could be intriguing, especially in the red zone for him. Because Dobbins, I mean, he's getting the touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins got 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games, so he got a touchdown every game. So, but Gus Edwards is getting more like the red zone. Like he played Dallas. Gus Edwards had 13. Dobbins had 13. Then they played Cleveland. Dobbins had 13. Gus Edwards had 18. Then they played Jags. Dobbins had 15. Gus Edwards had 10. Then they played the Giants. They both had 14. But one thing is different is that the price is a slash in price. So if you get Gus Edwards that could do the exact thing that Dobbins could do for $1,000+ less, why not go with Edwards, So definitely I like this play for him. You want to look at that route with Gus Edwards. He's to me, I think he's a great value play. To look at. He will be definitely cheap too. So Gus Edwards is a good spot to look at for your lines. All right. Let's keep going. I can't believe there's 15 damn games for the main slate. Like, they can't just break it up. Like, they don't want you to win. Like, you got to win with some crazy-ass lines, y'all. Like, I'm sorry, man, but 15 games in the main slate is too much, man. I mean, I'd rather watch it. I'd rather just watch the game. I don't even want to play it, y'all. I ain't going to lie to y'all. That's a lot of damn games. 15? I mean, I could watch 15 games, but to have a lineup with 15 games? Man. So we got to look into the Rams game. I guess if we look into Rams with Arizona, Cam Akers is, let's see, he had an ankle injury. It was estimated as a non-participant on Wednesday injury report. And this is one thing about the Rams I don't like. This is the reason why I don't want to target a Rams backfield, is because Coach McVay, bro, like, this guy like to change it up. Like, he changed up the backfield like women, dog. Like, he got side chicks. Like, if you got side chicks, it's like this is how he treats his backfield. Like, you don't know who's gonna do what. You don't know how they're gonna use the running backs. So I'm gonna leave the backfield alone with the Rams, because Coach McVay, he changed them around like side chicks, man. So hashtag side chicks, hashtag side chicks for the Rams backfield. So I'm not playing the Rams backfield. But at least he's not out, so at least Akers is questionable, but he did not practice Wednesday, so we gotta look into that. You got Malcolm Brown, of course. You got Henderson and all that, but I don't know. I'm gonna leave that alone. Pittsburgh against Cleveland's defense. Not really sold on that either. Not really sold on it. Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's going to be so overhyped he's going against Carolina. Don't get me wrong. He's going against Carolina. 9,500. They priced him up, over $2,000, almost $2,000. $1,900 for this guy now. I'm going to pass on Kamara. I don't know, man. Like, it's just really, once I get to the receivers and see what they got to play with, then that's going to make my decision. But Kamara at 9,500, I really don't want to touch it. I mean, I understand with the whole Minnesota, but that's Minnesota's defense. Now, Carolina's defense is still not really good against the run. They are allowing 103 rushing yards a game to the running backs, around 6 receptions a game. And that's the thing, too, is it's still a game to attack the running backs. Like, we all know Kamara is a running, catching type of player. Like, he's averaging around 6 targets a game. He's giving you about 5.5 receptions a game. And that's where Carolina is giving up the ball. Like, they allow 6.2 receptions to the running backs. You know what I'm saying? So it's there. But do you want to pay 9,500? Like, and that's the thing. I'd rather pay 94. I'd rather pay 94 for Henry, but it's really going to base on the game script for Kamara. Like, I don't know. I'm more likely might sprinkle him if Thomas and all those other motherfuckers out. If they all out again, then yes, I like Kamara. But if a few guys are coming back into play, then I'm a fake Kamara. So we'll get back to that. We'll go back into this once I figure out if the receiver core is going to be playing this week. If not, then yeah, I like Kamara. But I can't pull the trigger right now. I couldn't pull the trigger on Brees yet. So I'm still on Brees if he has his players back. But if they're not back, of course, you got to go back to the well with Kamara. But right now, I'm not really sold on it. I think he's gonna be too chalky, and it's like I don't want to. I mean, I do play a few like cash lineups, but there's so many other pivots I could do. You know what I'm saying? Like if he busts, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. Like it's an ideal game for him. Don't get me wrong, it's an ideal game for him, but I don't know if I want to go that route. 9,500, man. That's just. And then let's look at him on FanDuel. How much is he on FanDuel? So they still getting what, 94? At least he's not no freaking 10,200 on FanDuel like Henry. So on FanDuel, I'd rather pivot to Kamara than Henry. On cash. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. I don't want to keep talking about it if I'm not gonna play it as of right now. So let's leave it alone. Is there anybody else I like here? Fournette. I'm not really sure if I like Fournette. I mean, one thing about ATL is that they do give up the pass, and that's one thing about Fournette. He is a pass catching running back. So. Let's see. He had 16 against the Lions last week. He had 3 targets, 3 for 3 against ATL in week 15. He had 22 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. He was 3 for 5 in the passing game. So he had 16 yards on that. 5,800 is still something you could consider. But that's if Ronald Jones is out, which I'm not sure. I think he's coming back from the whole COVID protocol. So we got to look into that. Fournette. Yeah, so Ronald Jones is playing. So that's probably going to hurt. That's probably going to hurt Fournette's stock, knowing that Ronald Jones is playing this week. So I'm more likely going to go ahead and leave him alone. I'm going to leave you alone, Playboy. Anything else? Who's your favorite running back? Let me know who's your favorite running back below. Because I'm about to be done with this. Yeah, I'm done with the running back. So give me about another like 2 minutes. I'm about to go get some drink, and we get into the run. We get into the receivers. All right. Mellow beat. Yep. Alright, we back. If you haven't already, please like, please subscribe, please share. Appreciate y'all. I do got some cheesecake. Cheesecake. Good old cheesecake. And that just worked out too. I worked out around 6 o'clock. Got me some cheesecake. All right, let's go into the receivers. Move, boy. You can't have no cheesecake. You gonna die. I ain't got no insurance. I ain't got no insurance for you. All right. Hold on now. Mellow beat. My bad, y'all. I thought it was kind of rude to me. Hold on, why are you still awake? Hold on, y'all. This girl's still awake. Hold on. Olivia, why are you awake? Olivia. You need to read a book? You gonna read a book? You're supposed to be sleeping. Alright, y'all, let's get into the receivers. This little girl awake, man. Alright, so if you want to look at a stack, like, so, okay, this is where we're going to try to dive in. Y'all don't get out of my way. I got both dog and daughter in here. All right, this is going to be looking to the receivers. This is where we're going to start seeing if we could get some type of stacking action going on. So one guy in particular that I do like here, if I look into the Minnesota game, is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is in a great play. Looking into his price, $7,600 for a guy that could ball out. $7,600 against Detroit is definitely ideal. We're looking at a 54.5 implied total with a plus 7 favorite. So going to this play, like this guy's averaging around 20 fantasy points in the last 8 favorite games. So they're looking at a 7-point favorite for them. Hey, baby. Why are you awake? The mic. You're supposed to be sleeping, right? Yeah? You're supposed to be upstairs sleeping, right? You want me to go upstairs with you? Yeah. Yeah, I'm recording. But look into Jefferson, y'all. Like, Detroit is allowing 204 receiving yards a game for the season to receivers. 1.2 touchdowns. But in the last 4 games, they're allowing 2 touchdowns a game. We saw what Tampa did. It was so embarrassing watching it. It was so embarrassing to watch Detroit. And, it was so embarrassing. So, Justin Jefferson should definitely ball out here. Like, they're looking at a 61.5 fantasy points win at home to receivers. So, Justin Jefferson... I mean, even Adam Thielen, they both guys in great plays to where Vikings stack is in play. Everything is a good stack to look at. For your lines here. I mean, even Adam Thielen's in play, y'all. Like, both guys in play. Like, you could load up both Thielen and Jefferson. Adam Thielen's getting around 7.4 targets a game. Goose. Eyes. Where are the ears? You supposed to be sleeping, baby. I gotta finish. I have to finish. So Adam Thielen, he's averaging around 18.1 fantasy points a game. He's 7,400. I mean, both guys in play, y'all. Oh. What are you doing? Don't touch the mic. Adam Thielen and Jefferson's in play here. Definitely see him going off on this spot. So, then like both guys here. You want to stay here? Alright, we stay here. So let me go ahead and put the position. Got both Thielen and Jefferson. Can't see. Eyes.
No,
Mouth. Can't see because you. I know you want to stay here. I can't see. So both guys in play with Thielen and Jefferson. All right, now looking to another guy that could be in a potential play here is Jacoby Myers. Like, if I was to look at Cam Newton, then a guy I could look at in the receiver side will be Jacoby Myers here. Now, Jacoby Myers averaging around 11.9 fantasy points a game. He did have that big game against Miami in Week 15 with 20 fantasy point game, 10 targets. He only had 6 targets last go around against Buffalo. But if they're gonna have to throw the ball, this is gonna be a game where against the Jets, they're allowing around 178 receiving yards a game to the receivers, around 55.1 fantasy points allowed win away. And also looking at the Jets, I mean, he's had good games against the Jets. I mean, last game he had 32 fantasy points against the Jets in Week 9. So that's something you can look at. He had 14 targets, 12 receptions, no touchdowns, but you are getting those bonus points for over 100 yards. So Jacoby Myers at 5K could be a play here. Looking at his draft dashboard rank, let's see Myers. I mean, he's only 81, but 5K to a guy where if you're gonna look at the play of the Jets, that's his number one receiver is going to be Jacoby Myers at 5K. So you go this route if you want to play this play with Jacoby Myers. Stop touching it. Did I tell you stop it? Olivia. I said stop it. Alright, so that's it on that end. If you want to target ATL, I mean, you got Russell Gage in play. Not really sure if... Let's look into... Is Jones still out? I gotta see if Jones is still playing or not. Let's see, is Julio Jones playing for... He's probably questionable. Yeah, he didn't practice Wednesday. So if he sits, this is another good play for Russell Gage and Ridley. Ridley definitely been showing out without Julio, of course, because, I mean, they need somebody to throw it to. But Ridley's averaging around 11.3 targets in the last 4 games, around 26 fantasy points. Olivia. I said stop it.
No.
So Calvin Ridley at 8,500 is still a good play. Knowing that Tampa allows 195 receiving yards in the last 4 games to the position, around 1.3 touchdowns allowed, 54 fantasy points allowed at home. So that could be another good play to look at. Be careful. So Julio is questionable, but if he's out, then definitely want to go back to the well with Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley. Let me go ahead and plug those guys in. Looking to my favorite stacks so far, we got the ATL. I think ATL could be another GPP stack if you want to look at that in. So far, we got Minnesota as a good cash play. Yeah, so far. And then let's go ahead and plug in Russell Gage. Nice little cheap spot. We got Myers. We talked about him. And then we got Ridley, cash. Injury watch list. We gotta watch if Julio's gonna be playing, which he's been not practicing. He's more likely not gonna play at the last game. We got Julio Jones, who's questionable. So we got that. And let's continue. Just want to make sure I got all that locked in. But yeah, Russell Gage didn't really have a good game against the Chiefs last game. But in the last four, like he had 15 against the Saints, 19 against the Chargers, 18 against Tampa. So at 5-1, if he can give you that 15 plus, that's all right with me here for some savings at that price. All right, and there's only two guys as potential. It's Ridley and him. All right, so let's look into the Titans here, where we got Corey Davis. He is 6,200. All right, and now we got to look into this play. They priced him up. On top of that, you know, it's good to see him around the 5K range, but when you price up Corey Davis at 6K, I don't know if I want to pay that. Yeah, I don't know if I want to pay that for Corey Davis, even though it's an ideal spot. Like I said before, this is more of a running type of game situation for the Titans here, to where he's going to have to pay up that price tag at 6'2". Which, I mean, Houston does give up a lot to receivers. They allow 188 receiving yards to the position, 1.5 touchdowns allowed in the last 4 games, 48.2 fantasy points allowed at home. So that's all in play. But I just really feel like they're going to stick with the run. I mean, of course, they could throw the ball. Don't get me wrong. They could throw the ball here. But they more likely, if they blow them out, they're going to stick to the run. Like, if one guy I will pay up will be A.J. Brown. He's that guy that he always done well against Houston. He had 28, 25, 23 in the last 3 games in 2 seasons against Houston. So if you're going to pay up 7,200, knowing this guy's giving you that 20 plus, it's definitely in play here. He also has better stats when playing away, averaging around 19.4 in the last 4 games, getting about 7.5 targets a game, 5 receptions a game. So if one guy I'm a play will be AJ Brown. I'd rather play AJ Brown over Corey Davis. So I like this play for AJ Brown here. If I want to go that route, I say Brown. Put him on there, and let's see. Let's see what Draft Dashboard got AJ Brown at. He should be 100, but let me just double check. Okay, he's up there in price. So he didn't practice Wednesday, so AJ Brown is questionable. So we gotta double check and see what it looked like for his status. He had an ankle injury, didn't practice Wednesday. Brown has been managing. Yeah, he always been injured, so he should be good to go. He's always been questionable before game time. So AJ Brown, good spot here if you want to target. He's always been dominant against Houston, so good spot here for him there. All right. Now we're going to look into the Colts side, where got T.Y. Hilton at 58. I mean, he's still in that 5K range, which is good, but they priced him another $300 more. But he's getting the targets. He's averaging around 7.8 targets in the last 4 games, averaging around 18.4 fantasy points. He's not really getting as much love playing at home. He's only averaging around 8.7 fantasy points at home this season. But going against the Jags, where they give up 46.3 fantasy points to the position, to the receivers, around 154 receiving yards a game, 178 receiving yards allowed for the season to the position, around 1.3 touchdowns a game. So if you want to look at this play, I guess you could look at T.Y. Hilton at 5,800. I mean, he's still cheap. You get him for a cheap play. Whoops. Let's see, Hilton. I mean, he's a good spot. I mean, even in the last 5 games against Jags, you got Allen Robinson had 23. Yeah, AJ Brown 27, Thielen 21, Landry 31. T.Y. Hilton should have a field day here. Really feel like it should be a good game for you to target if you're gonna look at Hilton. At the price tag. All right, so let me go ahead and put him in there. Hilton. Alright, and let's go to the next position. I can't spell. Good grief. So you got Michael Pittman at 41. He's questionable. Zach Pascal he's been good. He had 25 against Houston and had 15 against Pittsburgh. He had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. For Zach Pascal, it could be a good play here. He's a valuable play. He could be low owned. I mean, not a lot of people looking his route. All right, let me look at. Let's see if he's a good play real fast. Let me look at Pascal. Yeah, I think he go Pascal. I think Zach Pascal is a good play once again. He's cheap. I mean, like I said, he had 3 touchdowns in the last 2, and he's cheap. You could get him for $4,200 for a guy that's giving you 15 plus fantasy points in the last 2 games. So definitely like this play for Pascal. I think he'd be a good spot to look at. I definitely like Indianapolis Colts here as a nice little stack. Yeah, definitely like the stack for Indianapolis. Put them in there. Position plays. Pascal. Both guys in play. Yeah, both guys in play here, and then let's look into next spot here. We got DK Metcalf. He's finally fallen down in his price. At $7,300. He was $78 last week against the Rams. But he did damage last go around against the San Francisco Niners, man. He had 43 fantasy points against his last game. So something to look at if you want to look at DK Metcalf at $7,300. You get him for a better price tag than before. I mean, he was like around $8K like a couple games ago. Tyler Lockett's price is constantly falling down. For Tyler Lockett, which, you know, one thing about the Niners, we're allowing 177 receiving yards in the last 4 games, around 44.4 fantasy points to the position. So, you leave it alone.
No.
Yeah, you leave it alone, baby. Eyes.
Mouth.
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 Nose.
Nose.
Hat.
Hat. Thank you, boo boo.
It.
So let's look at DK Metcalf and see what we're looking at. $7,300. You have to pay that. Let me look at Lockett real fast. See, 5,800 for Lockett. 65 on FanDuel for Lockett. Someone has to score. I just don't want. I mean, I'm not really looking at both guys here for. Not really looking at both guys here for this week. We got so much other value plays you can consider. And then let's look at Green Bay. You know, going to Green Bay, looking at Chicago. Chicago's definitely been allowing more fantasy points to the receiver core. Around 179.5 receiving yards a game, 1.5 touchdowns a game allowed, 42.5 fantasy points per game allowed to the receivers in the last 4 games. Of course, you got Devontae Adams, 9,200. He's up there in price. Cash play is eligible, around 11 targets a game, 8.8 receptions a game, 6 touchdowns in the last 4 games, 17 touchdowns for the season, averaging around 34 fantasy points playing away. So, of course, Devontae Adams is in play. We're going to look at the spot here, cash, but last time he played them, that was week 12. He only had 18 fantasy points. He did have 9 targets, 6 receptions, and he had a touchdown, but this is one of those games to where he's not paying up his upside, and at that time he had $8,300. So get him in at 92. I mean, if you want to pay up that price, I really feel like you don't have to go that route with Devontae Adams. When you go elsewhere, there's so many other plays you can consider, but I mean, of course, you want to look at cash. It's going to be Adams. What's up, baby girl? Ooh, you're getting big, baby. You just want to be up here with Dada. It's okay. You leave it alone.
What?
All right, so let's look into the next spot here.
Circle. Okay.
Let's see. Let's look into Chicago, where we did talk about Chicago. One thing about Allen Robinson, he is dealing with that whole trends, him going up and down trend. One thing he does, he have good history against Green Bay, where last game he played, he had 27 fantasy points. He did have 27 fantasy points in week 12 against Green Bay. Last season, he averaged around 21.5 fantasy points in the last 2 games against Green Bay last year. He didn't even get the touchdowns. He's giving you 20 plus upside with no touchdowns last year. He did have 27 fantasy points this year with 2 touchdowns, 13 targets. So he's getting the targets for $7,700. So you get a guy like that. Come here, they represent play hatred. They call a play hater. Are you a real G? Angelo American, what's up? Come here today, representing player hatred. Yeah, we ain't got time for that, Playboy. Alright. Let's get him out of there. Don't got time for that, brother. All right, let's keep it moving. I think Allen Robinson is a play. I mean, he's definitely been getting the targets. He's always been getting the targets against them. He had 27, 23, 20 in the last 3 games against Green Bay. For his price tag on both platforms, $7,700 on both platforms is ideal. So definitely let that play here. Whoa, baby. Huh? There we go. I can't see.
C. D.
Mm-hmm.
Eat.
Mm-hmm.
D.
D.
A.
A.
B.
B.
C.
C.
B.
Mm-hmm.
B. B.
We got Robinson.
It.
I can't see.
B.
You're lucky I could type without. Can't even see.
Dumbly. 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 Oh, shit, Gaga.
All right, let's keep it rolling.
Abby.
Niners. I'm not really sure about the Niners and against Seattle. I think Yuck is out as well, so that's just make it that much disgusting to watch. I'm looking at Sterling Shepard for the Giants against Dallas, where Dallas allowing 178 receiving yards to the position, 1.5 touchdowns a game to the spot. I'm not sure if Daniel Jones will be playing. I got to double check on that. He should be playing. So let me validate that. That could actually help out with the chemistry with these guys. All right, let's look at Daniel Jones. So I think Daniel Jones is playing, which is a plus. Sterling Shepard, he did have 23 fantasy points last week against the Ravens, which is a plus. He had 12 targets, 9 receptions, a touchdown. Going against Dallas, where, like I said, they give up a lot. They give up 39.3 to the position. He's averaging around 11 fantasy points against Dallas in the last 2 years. I don't know. You really don't know what you're going to get with the Giants here at $5,200. We got to find some type of plays in the 5K range. I'm just not sure if that's the play to look at on the Giants team. Then again, that's the same thing. Hold on, is he not? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let me look at the receivers. Okay, so we got Shepard. All right, Shepard is questionable. 5,200 on Draftkings, 55 on FanDuel, and that's cheap too. So you get a guy that's in the 5K range that's cheap, but has the ability to give you that upside. But he was limited in practice today, so we got to keep in mind of that. I mean, they're gonna have to do something with this team. I'm just not sure about the running game. They're gonna have to throw the ball. But at least if you got Daniel Jones in the mix, it could help out. So. Let's see. Go ahead and put them in. All right, now let's look into Angelo American. What's going on? All right, let's look into Let's look into Buffalo. All right, we got a lot of guys here. I mean, Miami doesn't really give up a lot to the receiving game. They're only allowing 169 receiving yards to the receivers, around 37.5. Went away to the positions. That's why it's really tough to call it with these guys, especially on Buffalo. I mean, you got Cole Beasley. He only gave you 5 against the Patriots last week. Gabriel Davis only gave you 6. Only guy that really shines is Stephon Diggs at 8,100. He's always been that guy for the team. I mean, 19 against San Fran, 32 against Pittsburgh, 29 against Denver, 45 against the Patriots with 3 touchdowns last game. He's giving you around 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games, 8 touchdowns for the season. Could be something you want to go back to the well here. If you want to look at Diggs, but he is priced up 8,100. I don't know if I want to go that route, especially at that price tag. If he's gonna give you 20 plus, then I mean you got other plays in the 7K range, even 6K range to give you that. But 8,100 is not ideal in this play. He is cash. Don't get me wrong, he is cash if you want to pair him up with Josh Allen, but I just can't figure how you're gonna be able to make a lineup where most of the guys are in that range, that price range. Let's look into Tampa against ATL, where of course Chris Godwin's in play at 6,600. He is priced up another $600 from last week, so that's in play. ATL is giving up around 200 receiving yards a game, 1.1 touchdowns allowed a game, but in the past 4 they've been allowing 1.5 touchdowns a game, around 44.4 fantasy points allowed to the receivers. And Chris Godwin's always been balling against the ATL. I mean, last year he had 40, 32 the year before that, but I mean, you got so many new weapons on this team with Rob and AB is on the squad, so it's so much sharing going is involved in this team to where it's hindering his upside. I mean, he had 5 targets, 4 for 5 last time they played in week 15. He only had 14 fantasy points, so it just shows that Tom Brady got so many other guys he could throw it to than just Chris Godwin. That really hurts him here, but I mean, 19 against Detroit last week, it was impressive, but this is gonna be hard to pull on this play to where. Even at 6,600, I mean, we're not destined to get that 20 plus upside at that price tag. To where I'm not safe to even play that play, play that price. So Chris Godwin is a play, but I mean the guy that been more consistent was Mike Evans. I mean, just the fact that him going off against Detroit, he had 43 against Detroit. He had 20 against ATL last go around with no touchdowns. So if he even had a touchdown against ATL, I mean, he would definitely pay up his price. So he had 20 fantasy points last game against ATL when they won by 4. He had 7 targets, 6 receptions, 110 yards. So if he could get that and even a touchdown, he could give you that 20 plus upside. For Mike Evans, you want to go that route. I more likely like to go that route with Mike Evans at 7,500, but he is around 81 on FanDuel. I might have to pass on that in on FanDuel. So you got Evans in there. All right, and then we got Brandon Cooks at 6,900. Last time they played, he was only 5K, and they priced him up another 1,900. I'm more likely to have to fade on that price. I mean, yeah, he bought out against the Bengals with 30 fantasy points, but I mean, you can't pay up that price for a guy. I mean, he was 5K last go around with 22 fantasy points. That to me is a steal, but getting him for over 100. I mean, $1,900 more than what he was last go around. It's gonna be hard to pull that trigger. I mean, you could go down to like Kiki Kuti here at 5,600. to where, I mean, that's could hurt his upside with Cooks, is because, last time they played, Cootie wasn't even on the team at that time. So you could look his route with Cootie here, as he did have 10, 15, 10 in the last 3 games. Could be a game where he could bounce back on against Tennessee, where they're more likely to throw the ball or run the ball, because like I said, we do have David Johnson in play. Cootie could still be a great spot to consider. After they lost 4 games straight, so they might have to change something up. But then again, it's the last game of the season, to where he can probably get some shine here. Everyone look at Cootie, I said Chris Hanson. You got Chad Hanson at 41. He's still priced down low, but he's only getting a couple shots down the field. He's still paying his price. Even when he gets like 2 receptions, he still get a touchdown on a deep pass. So a lot of his passes are going to be a deep pass, but he only got one reception last game against the Bengals, which kind of hurts. So 4,100 is the reason why they priced him down, because of his progression last game, to where I don't think they don't have to pay up that price. But 4,100 is intriguing for Hanson. I'm just not sure if I want to pay up that price or not. Let's look into the next play here. See 5,000. We got T. Higgins. You want to look into him at 5K. Let me see how he looks here real fast. T. Higgins is questionable. He was limited in practice today, so we got to double check on Higgins. But I really don't see him as a play here as of yet. Alright, let's double check. I got to make sure I got other plays just in case. AJ Green, 3,900 for AJ Green against Baltimore. Baltimore is allowing 175 receiving yards so far in the last 4 games. 1.3 touchdowns allowed. I just really see the running game being effective for this play, but for 3,900 for a guy, he had 10 last game. Last game against Dallas, where he had 18. Those are plays where, those are good spots. The target, but it's going to be hard to try to target this team. AJ Green looks like he could be the play. He's averaging around 4.5 targets in the last 4 games. He did have 7 targets last game against Houston. But he's not one of those plays that jump off the paper. 39. I need somebody that could give me that 15-plus upside. Don't really see it in AJ Green. Don't really see it in Deshaun Hamilton. KJ Hamler. I really see the running game involved for Denver. Keelan Cole, looking at Jaguars offense, don't really see that popping off either. I really see Colts defense being that team here for this week. Colts defense look like a good play. Like I said, Giants defense look like it could be a good play as well. Like, they don't give up a lot to the receivers. They're only allowing 145 receiving yards to the position. The Giants is only allowing around 32.8 fantasy points to the position. So it's one of the top defense against the passing game. Amari Cooper at 5,800 is intriguing. That's definitely intriguing. He's getting the looks. He's averaging around 5.8 targets a game, 3.8 receptions, around 2. He has 2 touchdowns in the last 4 games. He only got 5 touchdowns for the season, and that's what's kind of hindering his price. Is because of the productivity of this guy here. I'm not really sold on Cooper. He's still a good spot if you look at cash for 5,800. For Amari Cooper, it's not bad of a price. I'm more likely going to say it's cash. I don't really see upside here for Cooper, but we'll go Cooper here at 58 is something to look at. Let's see. What else can I say? Of course, you got Marvin Jones at 5,100. But man, he was a dud. Worst. I mean, he only had 3 for 3 last game against Tampa. Going against Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's definitely been better against the pass. They allowed only 154 receiving yards to the position. Around 32 fantasy points allowed win away for Minnesota. And Marvin Jones, they show that he's actually not. He doesn't really have upside when he plays out of domes. He actually more of a dome player. So that's something to consider here. Let's see. But actually, I'm looking at his stats from last year. Like last year, he played Minnesota at home. And he had 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns that game. 13 targets, 10 receptions, 4 touchdowns against Minnesota last year. And then he played them again at home. He had 9 for 6. He was 6 for 9 with 2 touchdowns. So that might be wrong. He actually might play better against Minnesota at home. So that's something you could consider here. Marvin Jones at 5,100. I mean, he has the upside to give you like that 29 plus. Let's see. He played the Colts. He had 19. He played Washington. He had 24. Played Chicago. He had 29. Played the Titans. He had 30 points, fantasy points. So Marvin Jones at 51 here. If they got to pass the ball, it's definitely going to be something to look at here. Marvin Jones. I think a lot of people is going to fade off of him for what he did. He had that dud last game against the Buccaneers. So that's going to hinder his upside here. So Marvin Jones could be a play. If you need somebody in that 5K range, which we did need somebody in that 5K range to pay up. If you're going to pay up on all these different positions, you need somebody with a good play in the 5K, even 3K range. So I don't really see anybody in the 3K range that I like here, which sucks. But I really don't see no receivers that I really like here in the 3K range, other than like AJ Green. That's the only guy I really could see that could be a potential play. If Tyler Boyd is still out, we got to double check on that end. But going through everything, I don't really see these guys blowing up. I mean, you got Marquis Brown, but the Bengals defense has actually been playing better against the pass. They only allowed 144 receiving yards a game in the last 4. Only around 31.8 fantasy points to the position, so that's tough. Marquis Brown. So I'm looking at him. I mean, he's played better against Cincy in the last 2 seasons. He's averaging 19 fantasy points in the last 2 seasons against Cincinnati. He did have 20 fantasy points game in week 5 against them, where he had 10 targets, 6 receptions, and a touchdown. And then last year he played Cincinnati. He was 4 for 4 with a touchdown. So knowing that Marquis Brown is averaging around 19 fantasy points in the last 2, I mean, it could be something you could consider here for Marquis Brown. At 5,900. Marquis. Yeah, 5,900 for him is not bad. I mean, even the Rams game against Arizona is going to be tough. But one guy's definitely been popping off is Robert Woods. He did have 19 last game in week 13. He had 19 fantasy points, 10 receptions, 11 targets that game. He's averaging 9 targets a game. Robert Woods could be a play at 6,300. Definitely like Woods here. Not really sure who else. I think I'm really done elsewhere. I don't really like the Chiefs against the Chargers. Don't really like Tyreek Hill. He's definitely been dudding lately, especially in the 8K range. He had 15 against Denver, 26 against Dolphins 17 against Saints, 11 against Atlanta last week, which killed a lot of people's lines at 9K, especially if you paid that much for a 9K guy and he only gave you that much. Just hurt your lines like crazy. But Tyreek Hill, I mean, he had 22 fantasy points last game against the Chargers in week 2, where he had 11 targets, 1 touchdown in that game. But at 8,300, you want more than that. You know, you want a guy that could give you that 20 plus. I mean, even around 26 plus something. But like at that time, he was 7.2 thousand. You know, he was 7.2. So yeah, that's more ideal at 7,200. But if he at 8,300, I need more than it's just 22 fantasy points. So I'm more likely gonna fade again if that's gonna be the play. Not really sure about Curtis Samuel at 5,300. Robbie Anderson at 5,600 against the Saints. Not really sure about that either. Everything else is kind of like blurry for me. I don't really see much upside here for the rest of the plays. I mean, playing Cleveland, that's one thing about Pittsburgh. Playing at Cleveland, that's one thing is tough, is playing at Cleveland. Like I tell people all the time, Cleveland don't really give up a lot at home. They only averaging around 19.8 fantasy points to the receivers at home for the season. That's one team that you could look at is the Browns defense against this what's that team called? Steelers, man. They're real suspect lately, so. But yeah, I'm done with the receivers. Anybody else that y'all like, let me know in the chat. Let me know who's your favorite receiver. Let's look into the tight ends real quick. And then we'll be done with the video. Do appreciate those that have been checking out the stream. But like I said, this is the way I have my videos for NFL, is doing the stream for me to dig in and see what's going on. I can't really do multiple videos on NFL because I got so much other things going on in my life. So I gotta just do this one time where I could do a stream where I can knock everything out in regards to plays. But of course, any updates with injury news I will have on my Twitter. My Twitter is in the below the video, so definitely if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's where I give you my updates on my player pool depending on injury news. So definitely check that out or follow me on Twitter. All right, and then let's look into the tight ends, and then we'll be done. All right, tight end. All right, let me go and type in the defense real fast. The guys I was already looking at. I was looking at Giants defense. I was looking at the Browns defense. For cash defense, I was talking about the Colts. And let's look at the tight ends. Of course, we got our guy Travis Kelce. He's been balling, averaging around 22.1 fantasy points a game, 9.7 targets. In the last 3, he got 13, 12, and 10 targets in the last 3 games. For Kelce, he's obviously a great play to look at. I mean, he's expensive, but he's definitely a cash play. He's just been balling, y'all. Like, this guy, he's just been Mahomes' security blanket, man. That's all you can really say about this play. Looking at the Chargers, they give up a lot to get this play went away. They allow 64 yards a game, 20.5 fantasy points went away. So take that in that consideration that he's in another great play here. You know, last time he played the Chargers this year was week 2. He had 24 fantasy points that game, where he had 14 targets, 9 receptions, 1 touchdown. Easy play. You will look at Kelce here, especially cash. All right, so let me go ahead and put him down. All right, and then let's look at We got Hayden Hurst at 3,700. I think it'd be another viable play. Like I said, ATL is a great GPP stack to look at. In the last two, he had 12 fantasy points against Tampa with a touchdown, 4 for 5. Then he played the Chiefs last week where he was 5 for 5 with a touchdown. So he's being involved in the pass attack. So Hayden Hurst at 3,700 is a great play to look at for his price. So do like some Hayden Hurst here. 3,700. Hayden Hurst. Nice valuable spot for him. All right, another spot we could look at. Of course, got George Kittle back in the mix. He had 13 coming from his injury. He was 4 for 5 against Arizona. Now he's going against Seattle. But I'm not sold on the quarterback. We got Beat Hart as our quarterback. There's a bunch of crap here. So $6K for a guy that should get the numbers. He's more likely not to get the numbers with Beat Hart in. So I'm not safe on that play with Kittle. So I'm more likely going to pass on Kittle here. We do got Eric Ebron at 4K. Against Cleveland, they do allow around 17.6 fantasy points to the position at home. Around 5.5 receptions, 64.5 receptions a game in the last 4 to the opposing tight ends. So you want to look at that route with Eric Ebron at 4K. He did well against the Colts last game where he had 7 targets. He was 5 for 7 with a touchdown against the Colts last week with a nice little comeback game against the Colts. Now he's going against Cleveland. Last time he played Cleveland where he had a little upside was against them in 2017 where he had 12 fantasy points, 2 catches for 1 touchdown. But if you want to go that route with Eric Ebron, I think that's viable at 4K. But like I said, I'd rather pay down for Hurst at 37. So I'm not going to pay up that if I can't get that upside. You got Jared Cook going against Carolina, where Carolina, that's one team you do want to hit up against tight ends. They do allow 6.8 receptions to the tight end spot, 17.3 fantasy points allowed when at home. So something to look at with Jared Cook. Last time he played Carolina, he had 12 fantasy points, 3 for 4 with a touchdown. Even last season, he had 12 and 22 in the last 2 games against Carolina. So you're going to look at that play. He's averaging around 15.5 fantasy points against Carolina in 3 games. So you go that route with Cook. So Jared Cook at 47, you can go that route with. I think he's an okay play. He's also a good red zone opportunist, so you can go that route with Jared Cook. All right, and let's look at, you got Jimmy Graham going back at the well with him. I mean, he was impressive last game against the Jags where he had 23 fantasy points against Jags. He was 4 for 5 with 2 touchdowns where he was lighting them up in the red zone. So looking at the red zone, he had 2 touchdowns so far in the last 4 games in the red zone. So impressive from Jimmy Graham. He's only 3,600. He only got priced up another 500 from last week. But it was really different because I was looking at Cole Kmet. He was really getting involved with the offense earlier in the season, but now like Jimmy Graham's that guy in the red zone. So you're gonna look at a red zone opportunity. It's gonna be Jimmy Graham opposed to Kmet. Kmet did get a touchdown. In the last 4. I think that was against the Detroit Lions, where that's the game where that's the thing that they go always back and forth with them. Like, he had 15 that game. He had 7 targets that game. But that game, Jimmy Graham only got 1 target that game. So it just shows that you don't really know who's going to pop off on this Chicago's dual tight ends. He could go off this week and everyone's going to ride a train with Jimmy Graham. And next thing you know, Cole Kmet could be that guy next week. So you gotta keep in mind, I'm not really sold on it. I mean, but $3,600 for Jimmy Graham could be intriguing here. But then again, you got Cole Kmet at $3K. You know what I mean? So Cole Kmet could be that guy this week. So let me double check and see if there is any upside involved in this play. So let me look at the Bears real quick. They're both getting the snap count. Let me look at the snap count. I think Jimmy Graham could be that play once again, though. I'm going to look at snap count real quick on both of these tight ends, just to verify everything that I have been saying. Don't want bad information going out. But yeah, Cole Kmet, he had 92 snaps last week. He had 100 snaps week 15. So Jimmy Graham, he had 57 snaps in week 15. He had 44 snaps in week 16. But even though he had 44 snaps, he still had the most, fantasy points compared to Kmet last week, even with the snap count. So it shows that even with the minimal snap count, he can still give you upside against Kmet. So I like Jimmy Graham. Once again, if you're going to go this play, I mean, at 3,600, he could be intriguing once again against a team that Packers do give up against tight ends. So let me go ahead and go Graham. Alright, so Graham. Okay, then you got Graham. They got Robert Tonyan. He's 5K going against Chicago, where he did light up Chicago last game at week 12. He had 18 fantasy points that game, 5 for 5 with a touchdown. Against Chicago, they allowed 15.3 fantasy points at home this season against tight ends, 5.5 receptions, 64.3 yards a game. So if you want to use the Packers offense, if you want to have like a stack with him and Adams and Tonyan and Rodgers, could be a nice little stack here with Tonyan in the mix at 5K. But we already mentioned a few guys where you don't have to pay up the Tonyan. I still like that play for him. We got Dawson Knox for Buffalo going against Miami. And one thing you got to hit up Miami is against the tight ends. They do allow 16.5 fantasy points allowed to the tight ends. 5.8 receptions allowed. 13.9 win away. So something to consider if you want to play Dawson Knox. He's been up and down trend as well. He had 7 against the Chargers, 13 against the Niners, 6 against Pittsburgh, 12 against Denver, 8 against the Patriots. It could be an uptrend play for Dawson at 3K. So I do like that. I do also focus on trends. So there could be a trend play for Knox. That's one guy that is one guy that Josh Allen do trust is Dawson Knox. He's one of those guys that could get that ball in the red zone. So could be a good spot for Dawson Knox here. He did have 2 touchdowns in the past 5 games. So keep that in mind. All right, and who else did I talk about? Who was 5K that I was talking about? Oh, Tonyan. We talk about Irv Smith. He's 3,900. He did have 15 last go around against Detroit, where he had 15 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. You know, he's one of the red zone touchdown play right here. He had 3 red zone touchdowns in the last 4 games. Irv Smith, if we know that Rudolph is going to be out again, then Irv Smith at a play at 3,900 is intriguing. So I do like Irv Smith here as well. Irv Smith. And I think we're almost done, y'all. Got Trey Burton. We got Jack Doyle, 3K. Against the Jags. No, you on them like that. Hawkinson's always a play at 46, but against Minnesota, could be a play I could pass on. Got Jacob Hollister for Seattle. He got touchdown in both games in the red zone. He got averaging 10 fantasy points. Hollister could be a play for Seattle. He could be definitely a nice little. I mean, he's bare minimum price on Draftkings for 3K. He's giving you 10 fantasy points on both games. Going against the Niners could be a play here for him. We're going to look at Hollister. Definitely a GPP play. Jacob Hollister for Seattle. And of course you got Mark Andrews for the Ravens. I don't think I even talked about him yet. So let me double check and see if he's even a good play. Going against the Bengals, which they only allow 10 fantasy points to win win at home. He's averaging around 12.6 fantasy points for the season. He's had good stats against the Bengals in his last 3 games from the past 2 seasons. He had 18 last game in week 5 where he had a touchdown. He was 6 for 9 last game against the Bengals. He had 23 against the Bengals last year playing at Cincinnati. He had 2 touchdowns, 6 for 8 with 53 yards. And then he played Cincinnati again where he had 6 for 8 again. So Mark Andrews could be a valuable play here at 5,800. Of course, that's going to be Lamar Jackson's guy. I mean, that's same with Mahomes with Kelsey. Same 2 different teams, same situation. Those are the safe jackets for the team. So those are the plays, y'all. I think I'm done here. Just want to double check everything. I will still have to condense my player pool. Once I get through the news around Saturday, my pool will condense itself. This is my first look into it, and then of course my final look is me condensing my line. But if you want access to my player pool, click the link in the description. It's only $1 up to 30 days on Draft Dashboard Tools, where you get my player pools for NBA and for football as well. So definitely check that out. It's only $1 to 30 days. So definitely got the tools. You got good information. So let me go ahead and put Andrews there for cash. And let's look at the defense. I'm going to do a quick breeze through for defense just to make sure the teams that we're looking at were ideal. If we could find some value in these defense, it will also be a plus. So we got Seahawks against the Niners. The Niners could be in trouble here. I mean, opposing defense has been averaging 12 fantasy points in the past 4 games against the Niners. We also throwing around 1.1 interceptions a game. 0.7 fumbles for the season. Opposing defenses for the season is averaging around 8.9 fantasy points. So getting the Seahawks defense for $3K on DraftKings is a great price tag to look at. Unfortunately, that's my team, y'all. If you didn't know, 49ers is my squad, and we look horrible. But we don't look desperate. That's one thing we don't look. We don't look desperate. We just look like we just need help. We look like we need help, but we don't look desperate. Alright, so let's look into... Let me go ahead and click on the Seahawks. Get them out the way. I mean, 3K is not bad for a price for Seahawks. And then next play we could look at, you got Cowboys against the Giants. If you want to go that route, they're only 2,900. I mean, they had 18, 15, 10 in the last 3 games for the Cowboys, which is impressive for their prices. But one thing they do have issues is playing the Giants. But it could be a good spot for the Cowboys again. They had 9 last time they played the Giants, and I mean that game, that was a high-end game. It was like 34-37, and they still had 9 fantasy points. So even at that price tag, it's not bad. I would go Cowboys again. I think Cowboys could be a nice little play again. I mean, the fact that they threw up 34 points and still got 9 fantasy points is still impressive. So you go Cowboys and play. Let's see. You got Titans against the Texans. I'm not sure about that. That's gonna be hard for me to pull that trigger. Chiefs at 3,100 against the Chargers. The Chargers opposing defense hasn't been allowing 95 fantasy points in the last 4. I mean, Chiefs could be in play at 3,100. We're gonna go that route. Talked about the Colts. They're 39. Ideal spot. They averaging 9 fantasy points at home for the season. Around 1 interception a game, 2.3 sacks a game for the Colts. So 3,900 for Colts is a great play. Jets defense, as always, could be tossed in the air. I mean, if the Patriots can't get anything going, it could be a good spot at 2,300 for the Jets. They're averaging around 1.9 sacks, 0.6 fumbles a game. It's nothing too much, but Jets defense could be in the play. Knowing the fact that the Patriots defense is, I mean, the Patriots offense is so mediocre. I mean, Jets defense could pick them apart, which is sad, but it could pick them apart. Knowing that they're not in playoff contention and all that mess, this is a disaster waiting to happen. So Jets at the minimum price could be a play at $2,300. Let's see, what else can we look at? We got Saints against Carolina defense. I think Carolina could be in a play at $3,400. I might pivot from the Saints here. Ravens defense, I mean, at 4,200. I mean, it's obvious you could look this route, but I mean, I already mentioned a couple plays to where like Giovanni Bernard could be a play here against the Ravens defense. So at 4,200, I'm gonna pass on Ravens. I'm not gonna pay that much on the defense. Lions against Minnesota, nope. Patriots defense, it could be a play at 3,500 for Patriots defense. I'm gonna pass on that. Raiders defense, I'm gonna pass. Vikings defense against Detroit, I'm not really sold on it, but Vikings defense could be a play here. It could be a play. They had 9 last time they played Detroit. Even at a 34-20 fantasy point game, even with 20 points, they still had 2 sacks, 3 interceptions that game. They had 13 fantasy points a game before that in 2019, where they had 5 sacks, 2 interceptions. So Vikings defense at 2,600 could be a play. It could be a nice little GBP play for the Vikings here. I like Vikings at $2,600. Let's see, Vikings. Yeah, $2,600 is not bad. If I go that route. Jets, and then we got Vikings defense. Oh boy. Almost done. Let's knock this shit out. Buccaneers defense against ATL. I think ATL gonna do good, so I'm not gonna pass on that. Cardinals against the Rams. This could be a low scoring game. I didn't really see anyone pop out on both platforms for this game, but then again, I'm not really sure about that one. Browns against Pittsburgh, $2,500 is ideal in this play for the Browns. I mean, you got to also keep in mind that they got Rudolph as the quarterback for the Steelers, so that also plays a part in this play for the Browns here, to make Rudolph look horrible. I think that's about it, y'all. So these are my plays for this week, y'all. Like I said, any changes will be on my Twitter, especially with any injury news that's going to pop off. I will have that in my video. I will have like a update on the video, and also I have an update in my Twitter. So definitely follow me on Twitter so you get any updates and injury news, and who will be my pivot, especially with the injury news, who will be my pivots and my plays. Please, so far, y'all, like the plays, give a thumbs up. Please share. Please subscribe if you're new. I love y'all, man. Y'all collect that bag for week 17. And I'll talk to you soon.